Hey guys, the game series back with another Diablo 3 Torment build. Today I'll be looking at my Witch Doctor, and I'll show you the build I'm using while playing Torment difficulty. So let's look at my skills here. My primary skill here is Firebomb with the Ghost Bomb rune. I'm mainly using Firebomb because I have armor, which gives it a buff. So if you do have skill buffs, then I suggest using one of those primary skills. But for me, Firebomb's really good for the AoE damage. Now my main damage dealer is going to be Zombie Charger with the Zombie Bear's rune for really big melee range damage. To survive a bit, Spirit Walk with Healing Journey rune. You could also use Honored Guest if you find yourself running out of mana, which you might be doing if you're using Zombie Bears a lot. It's pretty common. Okay, Soul Harvest. I'm using the Soul Harvest with the Vengeful Spirit rune, basically because the damage it does is pretty nice. Pretty big crits, and it's a great buff to have. So you're going to want to get as many enemies inside that range to get the biggest buff possible. Now, Summon Zombie Dogs and Leeching Beasts for some life on hit and survivability, and Gargantuan with Bruiser, and he's DPS there. Okay, my passives, Grave Injustice, gain 1% mana and life for every enemy that dies, which is excellent. Spirit Vessel, reduce your cooldowns, and I'm using Pierce the Veil right now for the damage buff. I used to use Gruesome Feast pre-patch, but I find that health globes don't really drop as much as they used to. If you don't like either of those two options, and you find you're not really having enough mana to be effective, then go ahead and use Spiritual Attunement for your third passive skill. Alright, let's do a quick run here, show you guys how the build works. So keep your pets up at all times. And a lot of the time I find myself using Spirit Walk into mobs so I can get that immediate buff. So right now I Spirit Walk into them, and then you're spamming zombie bears, you're moving. In this situation, I wouldn't use Spirit Walk again unless you really want the damage, because you're going to lose the buff. So I used it there, and I ended up only with one stack, which is kind of... It's not terrible, but you would like to keep that 5 stacks for as long as possible. Here again, Soul Harvest, Zombie Bears, pretty big crits. You know, almost a million, but times, 4 or 5 or however many bears are coming out at the time. The only issue I have is the accuracy of the bears. They don't always go as far as you'd like them to, and I do find a good tactic to use is you aiming your cursor as far away from the mobs you want to hit as possible. As you see, if I aim here, they don't really go as far as if I aimed almost off screen. See, they go about halfway to my cursor, which could be pretty helpful for you if you find your bears are either missing your close melee targets, or they're just not hitting anything at all, which really cuts down on your DPS, especially for this build, because we are really relying on zombie bears. So through the target again, and you see my mana is coming down quite quick because of the rune that I have selected. But you see we can get it back almost equally as quick with the targets dying within 20 yards of us. So those passive skills are pretty important to this build because it is really mana intensive, and you're gonna find yourself spamming either fire bombs, your other chosen primary skill, just waiting for your mana to come back, and that's pretty much inevitable with the zombie bears build, just because it's so mana intensive. Um, like I said, again, take your time as a witch doctor. You're not a barbarian or a monk, so use a little bit of a strategy when fighting, even just normal mobs. Just stay out of harm's way, die as little as possible. You don't like those repair costs, and running back to your corpse is always, it feels like you're just losing time. So, hope this build helps you guys. If it does help, give us a like here, and if you have any suggestions, like always, just let us know. Any tweaks to the build, anything you find even more effective than this. Like I'm saying, this is just my first Torment build with the Witch Doctor, as I'm usually playing my Barbarian, but it seems to be working well so far. So thanks again, guys, and we'll see you next time. This is the game series.